All right, folks. Hey, this week I wanted to do a little demo and show you a couple of things in InDesign that might help you with your projects. I have to say, so far I've been impressed with the progress that you've all made. But there's a couple things that I thought I should probably cover. Okay, now, as you can see here on my screen, I've got my page open to our assignment here, the Sanibel Island thing. A lot of times what I will do is I will have an assignment sheet open and just, you know, handy, okay? And on my other, in my other window here, I've got the Sanibel Island photos previewed here. And that's just, again, for convenience sake, so I know what I have to choose from. Okay, now, InDesign. I already got that open but minimized. Now we're going to go ahead and create new. So click there. And here we get our dialog box with the new document. Now what we're looking for is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet with a little bit of a bleed, 1/8 of an inch, which is pretty easy to take care of. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead. That size is actually the default. So if you move over to inches, you can see it's 8.5 by 11. Number of pages is 1, that's right. Columns, that's right. Margins, 0.5. Double check back over here. Let's see if it says anything about margins. 1/2 inch margins, yep, that's it. And an 1/8 of an inch bleed, which the bleed would be right there. The default is 0, but if you click up once to 0.125, that's an 1/8 of an inch. So we're good to go. Just click on Create. And there's our page. I'm going to go ahead and make this a bit bigger here. Okay. Now, the default desktop is Essentials. Okay. I had been playing around with this, and I always wind up using typography as the desktop. So that's what it was set on, and I'm gonna switch back to that too. I think for this project, that one would work pretty well. So instead of Essentials over here for my workspace, I'm going to click on Typography. I just like having more tools available handy, you know, in a handy way. So you've got your layers here, you got your pages, swatches, and all that stuff. Text wrap, stroke, all things that you need to make a really good assignment. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here that was not specified in the class, but if you've taken Art 135, you already are familiar with this thing. And this is, I'm going to put in a Fibonacci spiral. Now, here it is in Illustrator, okay? And I'm going to upload a file that has this on it. If you want to use it, you can. What this does is, if you follow this spiral, what it does is it helps you lay out a page. Okay, this is your focal point. Okay, here's how you send the eye around. Okay, and you can put this in any sort. You can reverse it. You can turn it around. Anything, but that's generally speaking a good way to make the eye sweep across a page. I have this selected right now in Illustrator. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy it. Okay. The great thing about the Adobe products, they're made to work with each other. So if I copy something in Illustrator, I can paste it. I can paste it in InDesign. Now you'll notice here on my page, there's this red line going around here. That is my bleed. Here's my margins right here. Now, before I paste anything in there, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to click on my layers palette. I like to keep stuff organized. So I've got my layers palette here, layer 1. Okay, I'm going to rename this spiral. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste. And there's my spiral right there. Now this spiral, you don't want to have it be visible in the final product. This is just a template that you have underneath that will that'll allow you to place things in a more asymmetrical and pleasing way. Symmetry is great in a Rorschach test, but boy, it doesn't work in graphic design. You want things that are asymmetrical. You want to make the eye draw across the page. Okay, now in this case though, while this is still selected, I'm going to flip it around. Okay, and I can do that very easily just by, while this is still selected, up this toolbar right here, here's my flip horizontal, so I'll click that once. It goes over here, but that's okay. Let's move it back in place. Okay, and then what I'm going to do though is, I might make it a little bit bigger so it's going up to my margins. I'm just holding on my shift key and dragging it a little bit. Okay, so that's the spiral on my spiral layer. I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit on this though, and there's a couple of ways you can do that in design. The simplest way, I think, is just to use the toolbar up here at the top, and that is right here where you see it says 100%. Okay, that's your opacity. You peel it back, you can fade it out a little bit. Okay, I just think that's easier to see things when things are faded out. Okay, now eventually this spiral is gonna be gone, gonna be out of there once the thing is completed. Okay, but I'm gonna have a focal point right about in here somewhere. Okay, and I'm gonna have things that will lead the eye up through here. Okay, so with this already here, what I'm going to do is I don't want to accidentally click on it or anything like that. So I'm going to go up to Object and I'm going to lock this. Okay, now this is locked in place and I can't click on it by mistake and mess anything up. Okay, all right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a graphic as a background, basically a photograph. So again, I like to keep things organized so I know what I'm clicking on and things like that. So I'm going to click on my layers palette here down at the bottom and create a new layer. Now notice that on the spiral layer there's blue, this little blue line. That means if I select something that's on that layer, the outline is going to be blue. On layer 2, there's a red one, so anything that I drop in there is going to be red. Okay, now I'm going to double click on this too. That's another way to to alter or edit things. And I'm going to type in backdrop here, because that's what's going to be on that layer. Okay, now let's click OK. All right, so now I've got my backdrop layer. And now we got to put something in there. Okay, over here, my ellipse frame is what's up, because that's the last one I used. But I'm going to click on my rectangle frame tool. And I'm going to take it all the way out to my bleed. Because the bleed is what you have to have if you want your image to go all the way to the edges of the page. All right, so there's my space right there, and then I need to put something inside of it. Okay, so I'll just go right to File and Place. Take it a moment here. Not that I have a lot of time because I only have 15 minutes. And I'm going to grab this this tall one here, this picture of the shoreline. Open that, and there it is. Okay, now to change things around. Right now it's small and all that, but that's fine. So I'm going to double click on this so I can start playing around with it. I'm going to move it up here, and then I'm going to grab the corner and hold on my shift key so it gets larger proportionately. And now it's actually filling the space. Let me zoom out just a little bit here so I can see where I want to put it. Okay. Something like that will probably work all right. Not a real bright, sunshiny day. I might make it a little bit bigger, just so I don't have that little this little branch thing here. I'm not wild about that. Yeah, that should work all right. There we go. That'll work. Okay, so I've got my backdrop in there. And this as well, I might take the opacity down because I'm going to have text on this. And rather than creating a bunch of text blocks and things like that, I think what I might do is knock the opacity down a bit. So I'm going to do that. I'll take this down. You can see the spiral a little bit, but that's okay. Eventually that spiral is going to go, 50%. That'd probably be fine. Okay, and that, having this faded out somewhat, will really make the next graphic pop. Okay, all right, so the next graphic that I want to put in there, I've seen quite a few people doing this. I think it's looks pretty cool. I'll go ahead and put in an ellipse frame. Oh, you know what though? I should probably make another layer first and lock this one up. So I'll go ahead and, before I do that, I'll click on this, go ahead and object lock. There. Now I'm not going to mess that up either. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and create a new layer, and I know what I'm going to put in this picture, so what picture I'm going to use, so we'll just call this stupid bird, because I'm going to put in that stupid bird. All right, and now I'm going to hold on my shift key again, as I got my elliptical frame here, and there's my frame that I can paste into, and I'll go up and do the same thing again, go up to, just like I did with the backdrop, I'll go Edit, oh no, File, I always get those mixed up, Place, and then, okay, where's the stupid bird? I'll go with the one that's looks like he's getting ready to take off. Open, and there we go. Okay, placement's not bad, but I think I'm going to change that a little bit, so I'm going to actually double click on it, so I can move the bird within the frame. Something like that, maybe. A little off center. Okay. All right, so that's placed right there. I think what I'm going to do now, though, I've got 4 more minutes for the end of this little thing. I'll probably have to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to click on this thing here, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm not clicked on the picture. I'm clicked on the frame. They're 2 different things. I think I'm going to give this thing a stroke. Okay, and I don't mean I'm going to, make its, brain go haywire. No, I'm going to put a stroke around it, right over here. So right now it has no stroke, and that's the kind of stroke that that it's set on. It's just solid. You have a number of different strokes you can use. If you want to play around with those, you might come up with something that's kind of cool or kind of wild. But right now I'm going to go with a white stroke, which if I click on paper, that should do it. And then I'm going to make it a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. You can see it. Okay. There's my stroke. There's my fill. I was just making sure it was the same thing. The fill you don't actually see because there's something pasted inside of it. But I can switch that back to none. And okay, so now I've got this white stroke around it that kind of makes it stand out a little bit. Okay. Now the next thing I'm probably going to do is put in the headline. Okay. Now I've downloaded a number of fonts that I can play that I thought would be good for this thing, and I'll show you a few of those. Now I'm gonna pause this for a moment, okay, because I'm actually getting close to the time limit on this screen recorder. All right, so hang on just a moment, and we'll be right back.